the Lord Jehovah, the God of Israel, yesterday, the 10th of April, the year 2016, he spoke with me about a very important and fearful event that is coming to this land. And I remember too well that when I saw a lot of blackmail on the Kenyan media, I remember asking the Lord, why? Why would Kenya try to blackmail your servant because of such blackmail to this ancient prophet and this ancient God and his prophet? I said, one day I will ask the Lord to teach this land a lasting lesson, to split the land with a fault line like this, a straight fault line. I was so amazed yesterday when the Lord answered me. And in that dream, this is what I saw. I saw an earthquake hit this land. It was a straight fault line, and half, the other side of the fault line, sunk. This is the prophecy I'm giving on this day, on 11th of April, the year 2016, that now the Lord has answered my request to split the land with a fault line like this, a straight fault line, to teach this nation that the ancient, old, holy prophet of the Lord is in this land, is walking this land. And that no mere mortal, nobody created by Jehovah can raise themselves and try to blackmail and defame God, especially when all that the Lord ever did was to send me to bless this nation, to return to righteousness, to stop corruption, go back to holiness, and to bring their healing. Now I'm giving a prophecy on this day that now this nation shall fear this prophet and his God Jehovah. I saw an earthquake hit this land. It was a straight fault line, and half, the other side of the fault line, sunk. To teach this land a lasting lesson, to split the land with a fault line like this, a straight fault line. When these things come to pass, then the Lord and his servant will be feared in this land. Shalom.
A massive crack in the ground that's estimated to be up to 50 feet deep has opened up in Kenya seemingly overnight. The crack stretches along Kenya's Great Rift Valley, and many scientists believe it could end up splitting the continent apart.
A huge crack that has suddenly appeared in Kenya, more than 50 feet wide and running for several kilometers. The large, deep split occurred this week at Kenya's Rift Valley.
A massive crack that's up to 50 feet deep suddenly opened up in the ground in Africa. It's already 65 feet wide in some places and growing. The crack stretches along Kenya's Great Rift Valley. Many scientists believe it could end up breaking Africa's continent apart.
The fissures tore apart a busy road and the government has had to intervene, desperately trying to fill the chasm with rocks and cement.
Imagine waking up one morning to find a massive crack running through your home. That's what happened to Elliot in Njuguna, forced to dismantle his house by hand before it was lost to the earth below. He lives in Mai Mahiu, part of the Great Rift Valley in Kenya, a region that has already provided a treasure trove of some of the most important archaeological finds in history. And this latest discovery is so significant, scientists predict it will be the fault line along which history is made once again as Africa splits into two continents.
Joining me now from Johannesburg is CBS News foreign correspondent Deborah Patta. She's going to talk to us a little bit about this split. So, Deborah, this giant crack in the earth opened up in what seems like a matter of days. Can you give us an idea of how large it is and what geologists say may have caused it?
It's quite phenomenal, really, Vlad. I mean, it's about 50 feet deep and 60 feet wide. I mean, imagine something like that just suddenly appearing. What we've seen, some people who literally woke up to see a giant crack in their home. Can you imagine waking up to something like that? One man said that he started screaming and tried to grab as many belongings as he could and actually physically dismantled his home by hand as quickly as possible before it could be sort of sucked in by this giant crack that had appeared there.
The crack in Kenya sits along the 3,700-mile-long East African rift. As this movement continues over the next 50 million years, a large chunk of the continent will eventually split off, creating an island that will consist of parts of several African nations.
A 2-kilometer fault line has cut across farms, sparking fears among residents of Mondabi area on the outskirts of Naivasha town, Nakuru County. At least 16 families have moved to safe grounds after some of their crops sank and were swallowed in the phenomenon that started on Monday. Several acres of Irish potatoes, wheat, beans and maize are feared to have been destroyed by the giant crack that was filled with water overnight. It was not immediately clear where the water came from. Local government officials asked locals to move to safe grounds as geologists and experts investigated the cause of the huge fissure. The crack is similar to the one that cut across sections of Maimahi weeks ago. Naivasha Assistant County Commissioner Joseph Aponto on Tuesday urged affected families to be cautious.